When you think about businesses like Allbirds or Skims that are selling through the roof, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But what's often overlooked is the business behind the business that makes it all possible. For millions of businesses, that's Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify, the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. With Shop Pay, you can boost conversions by up to 50%, meaning fewer abandoned carts and way more sales. Whether your customers are scrolling online, strolling through your store, or browsing social media, Shopify ensures you're ready to sell wherever they are. It's no secret, businesses that want to grow with Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/DAX, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/DAX to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/DAX.
There are so many people with opinions about what you should put in your mouth. They can all make logical sounding cases for their opposite food ideologies of choice, which can feel really confusing and overwhelming. Not knowing what you should eat makes a basic daily necessity unnecessarily difficult, complicated, and time-consuming. It's time to ignore everyone else and get some peace of mind back about what you choose to eat. You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 196, How to Know What to Eat. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hi, my friend. Welcome to another episode. I'm so glad that you're here today. How have you been using the Zeigarnik effect this week? Have you been able to use open loops to your advantage to find creative solutions to your problems? It's so great to be able to have a lot of little tools we can use to have fun while creating the type of lives that we want to live. What was the last thing you ate? How confident are you that it was in your best interest? Are you confident about what you should eat for your next meal? Why or why not? Everyone has strong opinions about what you should put in your mouth. It is crazy, and they're so good at making you feel like you're an idiot if you don't drink soy milk, switch to agave for all sweetening needs, or eat plant-based, quote, incredible foods. Those things are all terrible for you, in my opinion, but lucky for you, nobody's opinion, including mine, should matter to you except for your own. So much supposed research conclusively shows that you should be vegan, or carnivore, or low-fat, or high-fat keto, or vegetarian, pescatarian, fruitarian, plant-based, paleo, grain-free, raw food, high-protein, moderate protein, Mediterranean, you name it. People who are dogmatic about certain diet ideologies try to convince you that they know better than you what your body needs to thrive, either because they've tried something that worked great for their body or because the food business is a multi-trillion-dollar industry in the US. So convincing you that in order to not be stupid, you have to buy their food is great for them. How good would it feel to be able to look them all in the eyes and tell them, "May the fleas of 1,000 camels infest your underpants," with complete confidence, knowing that you know way more about what your body needs than they do? I think we can get you to that level of insult-slinging confidence by the end of this episode, so let's give it a go. Have you heard of monovision contacts, where you use contacts to see far clearly with one eye and see close clearly with the other eye? Sounds weird to me, but some people say that it works great for them, and I would never not believe them or tell them that they're wrong if it makes their life better. Likewise, I would never judge someone if they tried monovision contacts and decided it didn't make their life better and it just wasn't for them. Same with a lot of things. Some things I think are the greatest things in the world, like Bombas socks, a full focus planner, or Android over iOS, seem strange to me that someone would say they just don't work for them. But I believe them when they say that they tried it and it didn't work for them. And some things other people swear by, like paper bedding for their house rabbit's litter box, e-readers like Kindles, or Zumba just don't work for me. It's fine. I want to read this awesome quote from Dr. Georgia Ede, Harvard-trained psychologist's book, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. What I discovered was that nearly everything I thought I'd known about nutrition was wrong. I was genuinely shocked to learn that there is absolutely no science or logic behind recommendations to eat plant-based diets, balanced diets, high-fiber diets, low-cholesterol diets, or diets containing whole grains, low-fat dairy products, or rainbows of fruits and vegetables. At best, these ideas represent well-intentioned guesses based on deeply flawed, unscientific food questionnaires. At worst, they are intentional distortions of the facts designed to protect professional reputations or serve political and commercial agendas, not to protect or serve public health. The truth about nutrition is this: meat is not dangerous, vegan diets are not healthier, and antioxidants are not the answer. So where can we look for answers? The good news is that hiding underneath that mountain of biased, confusing guesswork are clear, elegant, compelling scientific principles about nutrition that make intuitive sense, work in clinical practice, and stand the test of time. Do we know everything we wish we knew? No. Do we know more than enough for you to sustainably improve your health starting today? Absolutely. Most of us have been feeding our brains improperly our entire lives. Therefore, we have no idea how much better we can feel and how much more we can expect of ourselves if we eat right. My goal in writing this book was to take the confusion out of nutrition and replace it with science, simplicity, and common sense, to teach you how to think for yourself about food so you can make your own informed choices and find what works for best for you and your family." End quote. What do you think? The point is that what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for someone else. I like how she says that you should think for yourself, and how she did all the hard work to figure out that most of what's been harped on over and over is absolutely not scientific or even logical. I think most people have woken up to the fact that the USDA food pyramid is total nonsense, but even things that seem good to me, like eating a rainbow of vegetables, it's not even based in fact. We know that the low-fat craze of the 80s and 90s killed millions of people, but I think that most people are still more than a little confused about what will serve their cells and organs best. Hey, quick question. Have you ever tried blue light filtering glasses yet? You probably know that the blue light coming out of all your screens can strain and possibly damage your eyes, so protecting your eyes is a good idea. I've tried a few different kinds of blue light filtering glasses over the years, but lately my eyes were physically aching after looking at screens. So I got a pair of glasses from iBuyDirect with Sight Relax lenses that are designed to relieve eye strain in addition to blocking blue light. They have a really subtle magnification at the bottom, which I wasn't sure I would like, but I really do. And the lenses are a lot more clear. I always felt like my other blue light lenses were never all the way clean. If you've never tried iBuyDirect, there's a link in the show notes for $10 off your first pair of glasses that you can use in addition to 15% off your first pair. They have great deals on prescription glasses and sunglasses in addition to blue light glasses, and they have so many different kinds of frames to choose from really conservative ones to really bold. My Sight Relax glasses look like tortoiseshell, but it's actually little flowers on the frame. Cute. Okay, back to the episode. The people shouting their personal food ideology in your face all the time don't know what will work best for your personal physiology. If you're thinking that you're not sure you know what's best for your personal physiology either, then let's get you on the path to figuring that out. There's not one ideology that will be optimal for everyone. Period. Different people need different nutritional protocols to be able to thrive. So it's not about science figuring out the universal holy grail of diets. It's about you figuring out what's best for your physiology and then minding your own business about it and ignoring all of the influencers and trends and salespeople that try to convince you that you're stupid. That's pretty freeing. And more importantly, you might have no idea how good you could feel and how much more you could expect of yourself if you ate what your body actually needs to thrive, instead of what someone else tells you is the right thing to eat. As the brilliant Dr. Peter Attia says in his book Outlive, most people have been so chronically suboptimal for so long that they don't even realize how good they could feel. It's like having an old school picture tube TV and thinking that was as good as it gets. then getting a fancy new HD TV and realizing how flat their previous life was. So, if whatever you eat regularly right now makes you feel like a cross between Wolverine and the Energizer Bunny all the time, and all of your biomarkers are in the ranges that will create the future you want, then just keep doing that, no matter what other people say about superfoods or microgreens or whatever. Your metrics tell you whether you're on the right track. Likewise, your metrics will tell you if you're not on track to create the future you want. If you feel like you've got another gear you just can't seem to shift into, might be time to do a little experimenting. Metrics that matter are the reason to change up what you eat, not someone else's opinion. Eat what works for you. Don't eat what doesn't work for you. It's not a morality issue or an intelligence issue. I'm going to keep wearing my Bomba socks and not reading ebooks and feeling just fine about it. Just like you should do what works for you without second guessing your choices. Here's my simple framework that I hope is useful to you. Simple doesn't mean easy, as food is so tied up in pleasure and reward centers of our brains and culture and family dynamics and habits and everything. Habits are a huge part of why we ever do anything. But here's what I think. First, start by deciding what you're trying to create. This makes everything so much easier. If you don't know what outcome you're aiming for, it's really hard to know what to eat. That's when it's easy to fall into the camp of believing what dietary evangelists are telling you because they make some logical claims. It's easy to listen to someone go on and on about how great a vegan diet is for you and start to think that you'd be better off following that, and then listen to someone else going on and on about how great a carnivore diet is for you, and you start to think you'd be better off following that. It's crazy, but it happens. If you're looking to go on stage at a bodybuilding competition, you're going to have to be very militant about what you eat, and then you know what to measure to see if it's working for you, and following the advice of a bodybuilder would be a wise idea in that case. If you're not looking to get so lean that you might shut down your thyroid and or ovaries, bodybuilding advice can probably be safely overlooked. If all of your mom's side of the family have died of early heart attacks and you're looking to be the exception to that rule, that helps you know where to start figuring out what to eat and what to measure to see whether it's working for you. If you want to be able to be super active, strong, and independent in your 80s, you know that you want to feed your most important endocrine organ, which is your skeletal muscle, so that you can preserve as much of it as possible for as long as possible. This helps you know what to eat and what metrics to track to see whether it's working for you. When deciding what you want out of food, don't accept a yawn-inducing answer from yourself like, I just want to be healthy. Define what exactly healthy means to you and what you want to be able to do now and in the future. It's harder to do at first, but it makes all your other decisions easier. Second, once you know what you're trying to create, figure out what assets you're going to need to make that happen. A large amount of skeletal muscle, healthy endothelium inside your artery walls that don't let cholesterol latch on and start forming plaques, efficient energy production that takes up glucose properly and leaves you feeling zesty most of the time, and how do you know whether you have those assets or not? Some things you can feel, like whether you're strong enough to do what you want to do, or have enough endurance to do what you want to do, or whether you have enough energy at 4 p.m. to feel great completing whatever is important to you that day, or your level of depression or anxiety or your attention span. A lot of things you can't feel, but you can measure things that will tell you, like your total body muscle mass, your fat mass, your visceral fat, blood pressure, VO2 max, fasting insulin, blood glucose, coronary calcium score, etc., etc. If what you're eating is producing the metrics that show that you're on target for what you want for yourself, then keep on keeping on, no matter what anyone else says. No need to fix what's not broken. If not, you can research what changes to try. It'll be way easier to figure out exactly what specifically to change and in what specific way when you know you're looking to improve a specific measurement. It really does make it easier. Third, if changes are needed, make the changes and then retest to see if the measurements improve. That's it. No flying blind, no guesswork, no feeling dumb. Just do more of what works and less of what doesn't. Send me a message at healthcouragecollective@gmail.com if you need some ideas of metrics to track. But being data-driven takes all of the bumbling around out of the equation, and it teaches you what works to create what you want and what doesn't. Who cares what anyone else has to say at that point? Dr. Robert Lustig frequently says that all you need to do with your food is protect the liver, feed the gut, and nourish the brain. Dr. Georgia Mead says that all you need to do with your food is nourish your brain, protect your brain, and energize your brain. She also says that all of our other cells require the same nutritional care, so eating for your brain serves all of your cells equally well. While Dr. Lustig is more religious about bacteria controlling your life, including your brain, they're both saying very similar things. Eating is obviously our only way to procure building materials for our cells, and it's also our only fuel source. So we need to make sure that we get the essential macro and micro ingredients to satisfy the supply chain needs of all of our cells. There are essential amino acids you have to get from protein and essential fats you have to get from fat. We need those to create the structure of our body, and you don't want your cells and membranes to be made out of bargain basement cheapy ingredients of questionable quality. That alone can help you with some of your food choices. There are essential vitamins and minerals that your body requires from food. Probably even more important than eating for your human cells' needs is eating for your bacterial cells' needs. Your friendly bacteria control a ton of your experience of life, so keeping the good guys happy and the bad guys starved will make your life better. That's the substrate you need for structure and function. Then, of course, we also need to get energy out of our food to power our activities. If we don't get enough fuel, our body suffers. It's pretty easy to discern, and when we get too much fuel, we gum up the works and also suffer in a lot of ways. So many ways that it can be hard to recognize all the ways that too much fuel is overloading our capacity to run an efficient and accurate cellular workforce. And what makes you feel best and gives you easily accessible and clean-burning fuel to power all the important things you do is not the same thing that will produce that outcome for someone else. I've talked to some extremely dialed-in people who are like, yeah, blueberries just don't work for me. They know themselves so well to know that what most of us think of as the pinnacle of healthiness affects them in ways that they don't like. Dr. Georgia Ede talks a lot about why seed foods are harmful to most people. This means all beans, legumes, grains, and nuts. Most people wouldn't think of a Brazil nut as a poor food choice, but for some people, she would say many people, they are. It's like monovision contexts. Some people just don't do well with them, and some people do fine. Knowing what to eat seems confusing, but it's really not. It really boils down to knowing your body and knowing what you're trying to achieve. That's it. Have measurements that will serve as the guide to advise you whether you're on track or not. Periodically get a DEXA scan and have some basic blood work done. Have a way to quantify your mood or the strength of your attention. What athletic aspirations are you trying to achieve? From your DEXA and your fasting blood work, your total muscle mass, visceral fat, total body fat, bone density, and fasting insulin levels will tell you a ton about whether what you're eating is working for you or not. How hungry and how energetic you feel will also provide useful feedback about what does and doesn't work for your body. Take wisdom from different experts in their field and synthesize it into your own expertise. Dr. Georgia Ede is brilliant and talks about protecting your brain from harmful things like anti-nutrients in some foods like grains, legumes, seeds, nuts, and nightshade vegetables. Dr. Robert Lustig is great and talks about feeding your friendly bacteria, making sure you don't have leaky gut, and protecting your liver from harmful things like toxins that it has to work hard to clean out from pesticides, herbicides, and microplastics, and the number one liver toxin that we talked about in episode 115, loving your liver. Do you remember what it is? Fructose. Also alcohol is hard on your liver. And many, many drugs. Dr. Casey Means is amazing and talks about eating for what she calls good energy. Eating in a way that keeps glucose levels in optimal, not normal, but optimal ranges. Dr. Benjamin Bickman talks about similar things, but really makes the case that it's high insulin that's the instigating problem, not high glucose. I mean, they're obviously related, but the high insulin is the original gangster of metabolic dysfunction, which leads to body-wide cellular dysfunction. Learn what you can from credible sources, including them, but don't get hoodwinked into any one food ideology without running a controlled experiment with hard data on yourself. Your physiology might not agree with some smart person's ideology. There are pros and cons to all diets. You don't have to fast until 2 p.m. every day just because it works so well for your coworker. You don't have to be vegetarian because it makes your yoga teacher feel amazing. You don't have to be keto or low carb or count calories or macros unless it provides you with a benefit you feel is worth the cost. Are you with me? No more believing that someone else knows better than you what you should eat. Only you know what outcomes you want to create and how certain foods contribute to or detract from your ability to create what you want. There are some wonderful scientists who can help you create a logical plan to achieve what you want, but most of what's thrown around in the influencer space has to do with assuming that everyone wants the one thing that they want, like weight loss at any cost, including long-term health, or to be the next Mr. Olympia, or to do 100-mile endurance races. If that's specifically what you want, then that's great. But if it's not, you can completely ignore all of them. Knowing what you want and how to measure whether what you're eating is successfully producing that for you is all it takes. Plus, experimenting with changes if needed. Whew. It's not easy, but it's way more simple than any of us have been led to believe. Thank you so much for being here today and caring about how what you eat now affects your ability to show up how you want to in the future. I'd invite you to think about what you want to create in terms of structure and energy with what you eat and how you can measure that to see whether it's working. I'll put links in the show notes to some books that I think have some fabulous guiding principles that could be useful to almost everybody. And always contact me if you want more info. Next week, we're going to talk about getting off the success roller coaster and being more consistently and effortlessly excellent. Until then, eat what works for you, no matter what anyone else says, and it'll be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed